Hello, hello. Welcome to 30 Years of Impact, Great Cities Institute. Yeah. First, I want to begin by thanking all of you for being here. This event would not obviously be possible without your presence. So on behalf of the Great Cities team, I really want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you so, so much. I also want to, right out of the gate, I want to thank the Great Cities Institute staff. We have an awesome team, so please, a round of applause for the Great Institute staff. I am Teresa Córdova, and I'm very honored to be able to serve as the director of the Great Cities Institute. In a little while, yeah, thank you. In a little while, yeah. Seriously, we put a lot of thought and effort into this, and again, I just really can't thank all of you enough for being here. It really means a great deal to us. Throughout the afternoon, I'm going to be introducing various people who are here, who have joined us, but I want to also start out by acknowledging people from our college, from the College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs. So first and foremost, our Dean Swearington White is here. Thank you, Dean. Phil Ashton is a professor in urban planning and policy and chair of the department. Phil, thank you. Joe Horath is not here yet, but he'll be coming. Norma Ramos is here. Is he here? Where are you, Joe? And Warren Chapman here from the Institute for Policy and Civic Engagement. Thank you for being here. There's Joe. Amanda Lewis. She is the director of the Institute for Research on Race and Public Policy. Deb Carroll is the director of the Department of Finance, the Department of Finance Research Center. Deb, thank you for being here. There are a couple of other center directors who are also going to be here, and I'll note them later on. There's Itai. Itai, who's the director of the Natalie Voorhees Neighborhood Center. Thank you, Itai, for being here. And then we're expecting Sri Raj, who's here from the Transportation Center. So with that, though, we're going to go ahead and get going. I'm going to introduce the first dean of CUPA, the first director of the Great Cities Institute, and has traveled here from Oregon, from Portland, where he was the president of Portland State University. You've got the program, so you can see everyone's bios. But with no further ado, I'm very happy to invite Wim Wiewel to come up and start us off.
Well, great to be here, and it's great to be back in Chicago. I've been gone from Chicago since 2004 now, and I'm so glad that you all prepared a real cold Chicago welcome for me. I was just glad to be able to actually land yesterday, so that was good. I'm going to talk a little bit about why the Great Cities Institute was started and what might be its role going forward. As many of you know, the Great Cities Institute was formed as part of the much broader Great Cities Initiative. Chancellor Jim Stuckel launched the Great Cities Initiative in 1993 to, and I quote, implement teaching, research, and service programs to improve the quality of life in metropolitan Chicago. In this way, UIC will become a model for a land-grant university in an urban setting. At the same time, UIC will contribute to a broader understanding of what is needed for any great city to develop and thrive. That's a quote from the report of the Great Cities Advisory Committee, and a copy of that is sitting on your tables. I don't know where Teresa still found those copies after 30 years, but we must have printed lots of them. Now, this Great Cities Initiative was intended to raise UIC's profile and also to address what was seen at the time as really the key crisis of the time, the urban crisis. We'd seen huge deindustrialization, suburbanization, failing public education, poor health outcomes, racial and ethnic discrimination and tension, high crime, etc. And it was a timely idea. Higher education was beginning to value engaged research, which meant doing applied work with communities. No longer would faculty just be working in libraries or the lab, and it would move from seeing people as research subjects to partners whose knowledge was valued. At the same time also, a coalition of large urban research universities changed its name from the Urban 21 in 21 cities to the Great Cities Universities. That's how popular this Great Cities idea became among universities. The concept also rode a wave of sort of urban rebirth. As late as 1993, Newsweek had a cover story that was entitled, "Are Cities Obsolete?" Well, it turned out there was actually Newsweek that was obsolete, and they went out of business in at least as a published edition. But the cities started a wave of growth and popularity. As the knowledge economy grew, cities became cool, and downtowns revived. It really recast the image of cities from sort of the garbage cans of society to places of innovation, creativity, and excitement, with, of course, plenty of challenges as well. Now, here at UIC, the Great Cities Institute was created as part of this larger Great Cities Initiative, along with the College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs, the City Design Center in the College of Architecture, the Centers for Health Policy on the West Side, and it also featured long-standing work with communities by the College of Education, College of School of Social Work, the Health Sciences colleges, as well as a whole range of specific projects in liberal arts, business, and engineering. In all of these units, faculty started to work much more energetically and proactively with community organizations, local governments, businesses, and nonprofits on research as well as direct program delivery. I had the honor of leading the Great Cities Initiative, being asked by Jim Stuckel to do that, and then I led the Institute once that was created. Then I became the Dean of the College of Urban and Public Affairs, and I decided I couldn't really keep wearing all those hats, so I hired David Perry, who led the Institute superbly for more than a decade. Unfortunately, as most of you know, he passed away a year ago. In fact, it will be a year ago exactly tomorrow. He was a great leader, a true intellectual, and a great friend, and I still miss him sorely. Now, for the last 13 years, Teresa Córdova has been the director, and she has led the Institute into many new, exciting directions. You're probably all familiar with GCI's work on immigration, labor issues, and a myriad of other issues, and several of its reports are sitting outside to look at. But the times, they are changing, and what should be the focus of the Institute, and perhaps universities more broadly, today and going forward? So what is the key crisis today, if it was the urban challenge 30 years ago? Well, I would argue, and I know many of you would agree, that our key crisis right now is that of democracy and the survival of our democracy. Every day we hear of attacks on the Constitution, on universities, media, the legal system. And in cities like where I now live, in Portland, in Chicago, and elsewhere, we see direct attacks on people based on just the color of their skin or their place of gathering or work. We see universities being pressured to change their curriculum, admission practices, and hiring. I have to admit, I don't envy my successor presidents, including what I think is a shameful agreement that my alma mater for my PhD, Northwestern, just came to pay $75 million. The news media are being told what to say and how to cover the news. Even news media in England are being told or being sued for $1 billion. We see prosecution of people who speak out and are deemed critical of the administration. We see attacks on voting rights and so on. You all know this. So, to speak with a famous politician, what is to be done? The panel following my presentation will go into this in greater details, but let me suggest a few directions. And I think the Great Cities Institute is already doing some of this. In laying this out, I'm mindful of the fact that while the Institute is located in the College of Urban and Planning and Public Affairs, it has always been intended to work with partners throughout the university in interdisciplinary and cross-disciplinary ways. I also want to emphasize that the Institute is a university institute and should do what universities do: research, teach, analyze, evaluate, develop policy, convene, etc. It is not itself an activist organization, although it obviously partners with those. The first order of business, in my view, is to help the groups that are most under attack. This certainly includes immigrants, which the Institute has focused on for some time. It can also include research on the effects of changes in public health policies and health insurance and coalition building around this topic. Collaboration with the health sciences colleges is key for this, and we know there are many other groups that are under attack. Second, the defense of voting rights. Efforts to disenfranchise voters, whether by voter registration barriers, gerrymandering, or sheer intimidation, need to be documented, exposed, and resisted. The political science and public administration departments are obvious partners within UIC, and there are many others outside the university. Third, we need to understand better this weird combination of withdrawal and boycotting from international organizations and putting up barriers to international students and international trade, combined with a new American imperialism and how these trends play out locally. What is the effect on labor and business and Chicago's financial sector of these contradictory policies? Fourth, there's long been a concern that the education system as a whole does not do enough to educate people for citizenship. Can the Institute work with other departments and K-12 schools to reinvigorate the study and practice of engaged citizenship, both through learning about history, understanding of societies and peoples different from ourselves, and joint community building efforts locally, nationally, and abroad? And that leads me to my fifth and final point. Just as the Great Cities Initiative was an inspiration for a nationwide movement of university community engagement, can the Institute now work with like-minded institutes and centers in other universities to support each other, build a coalition, do joint work, and be part of a movement for the protection of democracy? I firmly believe that building community is an act of resistance. The Great Cities Institute has been engaged in this for 30 years. I wish you all wisdom and strength as you figure out how best to do this for the future. Thank you very much.